The wrestling world just got hit with a tombstone piledriver of controversy that's going to leave you absolutely furious. What happened at WrestlePalooza 2025 wasn't just a Hall of Fame announcement, it was a complete burial of everything we thought we knew about WWE's power structure, and The Undertaker just became the unwitting executioner of wrestling tradition. Stephanie McMahon's induction into the Hall of Fame class of 2026 should have been a celebration, but instead it's turned into the most explosive backstage political meltdown since the Montreal Screwjob. You think you know what really went down when the dead man's gong echoed through the arena? Think again. Behind the scenes, there was chaos, betrayal, and a power play so devastating that it's got WWE executives scrambling like they're trying to escape from Hell's Kitchen with The Undertaker hot on their trail. And the bombshell that nobody saw coming? Brock Lesnar's involvement in this whole mess is going to change everything you thought you knew about loyalty, respect, and the McMahon family legacy. Let me paint you the picture of what really happened at WrestlePalooza, because what you saw on television was just the tip of the iceberg. When The Undertaker's music hit and that familiar darkness consumed the arena, everyone expected another legendary moment. The Phenom walking down that ramp with purpose, the crowd on their feet, the anticipation thick enough to cut with a steel chair. It was supposed to be wrestling poetry in motion. But here's where everything went sideways faster than a Rey Mysterio Hurricanrana. The Undertaker didn't just announce Stephanie McMahon's Hall of Fame induction, he delivered what can only be described as the most backhanded compliment in wrestling history. His words were carefully chosen, calculated, and loaded with enough subtext to fill a casket. When he said Stephanie earned her place through dedication to the business, the way he emphasized earned sent chills down everyone's spine, and not the good kind. Trivia question for comments: do you remember The Undertaker's exact words when he first mentioned Stephanie's contributions to WWE? Drop your answer below. The crowd's reaction was telling. There was confusion, uncertainty, and you could literally feel the tension radiating from every corner of that arena. But what the cameras didn't catch was the absolute pandemonium happening backstage. Sources close to the situation are reporting that several WWE officials were caught completely off guard by The Undertaker's announcement timing and delivery style. Now here's where Brock Lesnar enters this twisted tale, and trust me, his involvement is going to blow your mind. The Beast incarnate wasn't even scheduled to be at WrestlePalooza, but surveillance footage from the parking garage shows him arriving in his signature pickup truck just 20 minutes before The Undertaker's segment. Coincidence? Not a chance in hell. Multiple backstage witnesses confirm that Lesnar was seen having an intense conversation with The Undertaker in gorilla position moments before the announcement. What were they discussing? Why was Brock there? And most importantly, what did he say that seemed to change The Undertaker's entire demeanor before he walked through those curtains? The implications of this whole situation are staggering when you really break it down. Stephanie McMahon's Hall of Fame induction should have been a straightforward celebration of her contributions to WWE's evolution. She's been instrumental in WWE's corporate transformation, led initiatives that brought mainstream attention to the company, and played crucial roles in some of the most significant storylines in modern wrestling history. But The Undertaker's announcement felt different. It felt loaded with tension, history, and unresolved issues that go back decades. Remember, The Undertaker and the McMahon family have had a complex relationship over the years. There have been periods of loyalty, betrayal, respect, and conflict that have played out both on screen and behind the scenes. Trivia question for comments: can you name 3 different storylines where The Undertaker directly opposed the McMahon family authority? Let's see who the real WWE historians are. What's particularly fascinating about this announcement is the timing. WrestlePalooza 2025 was supposed to be a celebration of WWE's current success and future direction. Instead, it's become a lightning rod for discussions about legacy, merit, and whether certain individuals truly deserve their places in wrestling history. The Undertaker's body language during the announcement spoke volumes to anyone who knows how to read between the lines. His usual commanding presence seemed different. There was an underlying tension, a reluctance that veteran wrestling observers immediately picked up on. This wasn't The Undertaker proudly inducting a deserving candidate. This felt like a man fulfilling an obligation he wasn't entirely comfortable with. And then there's the Brock Lesnar factor that's driving everyone crazy with speculation. Why was the Beast there? What's his connection to this announcement? Sources suggest that Lesnar might have inside information about internal WWE politics that influenced The Undertaker's approach to this whole situation. Some insiders are whispering that Lesnar shared details about recent backstage power struggles that painted Stephanie McMahon's Hall of Fame selection in a different light. Could it be that this induction is more about maintaining family legacy than recognizing genuine contributions? The wrestling rumor mill is working overtime trying to piece together this puzzle. Let's talk about what Stephanie McMahon actually brings to the Hall of Fame discussion, because this controversy shouldn't overshadow her legitimate accomplishments. She's been a driving force behind WWE's expansion into mainstream entertainment, helped develop some of the most compelling storylines of the Attitude Era, and played crucial roles in elevating women's wrestling from novelty acts to main event attractions. Her work as chief brand officer transformed WWE's corporate image and helped secure lucrative partnerships that have elevated the company's global reach. She's been involved in community outreach programs, charitable initiatives, and has consistently advocated for wrestling's evolution as legitimate entertainment rather than niche spectacle. Trivia question for comments: what was the first major storyline that established Stephanie McMahon as a serious on-screen authority figure rather than just a McMahon family member? Bonus points for remembering her opponent, ***, but here's what's got people fired up about The Undertaker's announcement style. It felt like he was going through the motions rather than genuinely celebrating her achievements. The dead man has never been one for false praise or political correctness. When he respects someone, you know it. When he's just doing his job, that's obvious too. The way he delivered certain lines suggested there might be more to this story than anyone's letting on. His emphasis on phrases like the McMahon legacy and continuing family traditions seemed to carry weight beyond their surface meaning. Was he subtly commentary on nepotism in wrestling? Was he making a point about earned versus inherited positions? Brock Lesnar's mysterious presence at this event adds another layer of intrigue that's impossible to ignore. The Beast incarnate doesn't show up anywhere without good reason, and his timing here is too perfect to be coincidental. Wrestling insiders are buzzing with theories about what information he might have shared with The Undertaker before that announcement. Some sources suggest that Lesnar might have revealed details about recent creative decisions that influenced how certain Hall of Fame selections are being made. Could it be that merit isn't the only factor being considered? Are there political considerations that are affecting who gets honored and when? The crowd's reaction throughout The Undertaker's segment was telling in ways that casual viewers might have missed. There were pockets of genuine enthusiasm mixed with obvious confusion and even some audible skepticism. Wrestling fans are smart, they can sense when something doesn't feel quite right, even if they can't immediately identify what's bothering them. Trivia question for comments: during The Undertaker's announcement, there was a specific moment when the crowd's energy noticeably shifted. What do you think triggered that change? Share your observations. What's particularly interesting is how this announcement affects the broader landscape of Hall of Fame politics within WWE. Every induction sends messages about what the company values, who deserves recognition, and how wrestling history should be remembered. The Undertaker's reluctant delivery suggests there might be internal disagreements about these decisions. The Hall of Fame has always been somewhat controversial among wrestling purists who argue about criteria, timing, and selection processes. Some believe it should be purely about in-ring accomplishments, while others think contributions to the business as a whole should be considered. Stephanie McMahon's induction falls squarely into this debate. Her critics will point to her limited in-ring career and question whether executive roles should qualify someone for Hall of Fame status. They'll argue that the honor should be reserved for wrestlers who dedicated their bodies and careers to entertaining fans inside the squared circle. It's a valid perspective that deserves consideration. But her supporters will counter with examples of her storyline impact, business acumen, and role in WWE's evolution from territorial wrestling promotion to global entertainment conglomerate. They'll highlight her contributions to women's wrestling, community engagement, and corporate leadership that helped legitimize wrestling in mainstream culture. The Undertaker's announcement seemed to acknowledge both perspectives without fully endorsing either. His careful word choices suggested someone trying to thread the needle between professional obligation and personal opinion. It was masterful in its ambiguity but troubling in its implications. And then there's the elephant in the room, Brock Lesnar's influence on this entire situation. What did the Beast know that prompted his surprise appearance? What information did he share that might have affected The Undertaker's approach to this announcement? Trivia question for comments: Brock Lesnar has had his own complex history with the McMahon family. Can you recall his most controversial departure from WWE and what triggered it? Let's test that wrestling knowledge. ***, wrestling observers are dissecting every frame of backstage footage trying to understand the dynamics at play here. The conversation between Lesnar and The Undertaker has become the most analyzed 20 seconds in recent wrestling history. Body language experts, lip readers, and wrestling journalists are all trying to piece together what was discussed. Some theories suggest that Lesnar shared concerns about the Hall of Fame selection process becoming too influenced by corporate politics rather than wrestling merit. Others speculate that he revealed information about internal resistance to certain inductions that The Undertaker wasn't previously aware of. The timing of this controversy couldn't be worse for WWE's public image. WrestlePalooza was supposed to showcase the company's bright future and celebrate its rich history. Instead, it's become a focal point for discussions about favoritism, family legacy, and whether certain achievements truly warrant Hall of Fame recognition. What's particularly damaging is how this incident reinforces existing criticisms about WWE being more concerned with maintaining McMahon family narratives than celebrating wrestling excellence. Fair or unfair, the perception could overshadow legitimate accomplishments and create lasting damage to reputations. The ripple effects of this announcement are already being felt throughout the wrestling industry. Other promotions are watching to see how WWE handles the backlash, and wrestling media is having a field day analyzing every aspect of this controversy. It's become a case study in how corporate politics can complicate what should be straightforward celebrations. Trivia question for comments: the WWE Hall of Fame has had its share of controversial inductions over the years. Which previous induction do you think generated the most debate, and why? Drop your thoughts below. Social media reaction has been explosive, with wrestling fans divided into camps supporting and opposing Stephanie McMahon's selection. The hashtags #EarnNotGiven and #RespectTheLegacy are trending as fans debate the merits of this induction. It's the kind of organic controversy that wrestling thrives on, but probably not in the context WWE hoped for. International wrestling media has picked up this story, with outlets questioning whether American wrestling culture places too much emphasis on corporate achievement versus athletic accomplishment. It's become a broader discussion about what wrestling should value and how those values should be reflected in Hall of Fame selections. The Undertaker's role in this controversy adds another layer of complexity because of his legendary status and reputation for authenticity. When the dead man seems uncomfortable with something, wrestling fans take notice. His opinion carries weight that extends far beyond corporate messaging or promotional requirements. This situation also highlights the challenges facing WWE as it balances respect for its founding family with the need to maintain credibility among hardcore wrestling fans. The McMahon legacy is undeniably important to WWE's history, but that legacy must be presented in ways that don't alienate the audience that supports the product. Looking at the broader implications, this controversy could influence future Hall of Fame selections and announcement strategies. WWE might need to reconsider how these honors are presented to avoid similar backlash. The days of assuming automatic acceptance for certain names might be ending. Trivia question for comments: if you were booking The Undertaker's next appearance after this controversial announcement, how would you address the elephant in the room? Creative minds, share your ideas. ***, the wrestling industry thrives on authenticity, and when that authenticity appears compromised, fans respond with passion and criticism. This incident demonstrates how quickly narrative control can slip away when internal tensions become visible to the audience. It's a masterclass in how backstage politics can overshadow intended messaging. Brock Lesnar's mysterious involvement continues to fuel speculation about what additional revelations might be coming. The Beast incarnate doesn't get involved in situations without good reason, and his timing here suggests there might be more developments on the horizon. Wrestling fans should prepare for additional surprises. The long-term impact of this controversy will depend largely on how WWE responds to the criticism and whether additional information emerges about the selection process. Transparency could help address concerns, while defensiveness might only fuel additional speculation and criticism. For Stephanie McMahon personally, this controversy presents both challenges and opportunities. She could address critics directly, highlight her specific contributions, and demonstrate why her Hall of Fame selection is merited based on accomplishments rather than family connections. It's a chance to control her own narrative. The Undertaker's position in this situation is particularly interesting because his legendary status gives him unique credibility to comment on wrestling history and merit. If he chooses to elaborate on his announcement or clarify his position, those comments could significantly influence public perception of this controversy. Trivia question for comments: The Undertaker has been selective about his post-retirement appearances. What do you think motivated him to handle this particular Hall of Fame announcement? Share your theories. ***, wrestling fans are notorious for their long memories and strong opinions about authenticity and merit. This controversy will likely continue generating discussion long after WrestlePalooza 2025 becomes a footnote in wrestling history. It's the kind of debate that defines eras and influences how future decisions are made and presented. The entertainment value of this controversy shouldn't be overlooked, even as fans debate its merits. Wrestling has always thrived on genuine emotion and authentic reactions, and this situation has generated plenty of both. Sometimes the most compelling storylines emerge from real tensions rather than scripted drama. As this story continues developing, wrestling fans should prepare for additional revelations, clarifications, and possibly even more controversial announcements. The Hall of Fame induction process has been permanently altered by this incident, and future selections will be scrutinized more carefully than ever before. The wrestling world is watching to see how this situation resolves and what precedents it sets for future Hall of Fame politics. Will merit triumph over politics? Will transparency replace behind-the-scenes maneuvering? Will The Undertaker's obvious discomfort lead to changes in how these announcements are handled? One thing is certain, WrestlePalooza 2025 will be remembered not for celebrating wrestling history, but for exposing the complex politics that influence how that history is preserved and presented. It's a watershed moment that could reshape how wrestling honors its legends and acknowledges contributions to the industry. The controversy surrounding Stephanie McMahon's Hall of Fame announcement, The Undertaker's reluctant delivery, and Brock Lesnar's mysterious involvement has created the perfect storm of wrestling drama that fans will be discussing for years to come. It's authentic, controversial, and absolutely compelling television that reminds everyone why wrestling remains the most unpredictable form of entertainment. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the wrestling newsletter family where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one.